So where I'm at is Thanksgiving, and probably by the time this gets up, and no, it's not a marijuana leaf on my shirt. God, that looked weird for a second. This is the Mackie Boracay t-shirts that hopefully I've shown you in another video. Anyway, I figured, well, it's Thanksgiving, so therefore the appropriate thing to do is a video about being grateful that I'm not falling in the pool, being grateful for all the things that I have today. And it's interesting because I actually have not done a video like this in a while. And amidst the fact that I have literally an unlimited amount of things to be grateful for. So I just thought maybe that I'd check in on that topic. Here in paradise. And I had a relative pass away this morning. Someone who was of the age where one would say, well, they've lived a good life. And it's also one of those scenarios where the phrase of, well, at least they're not suffering any longer comes into play. And both of them are good, right? In the sense that you could say, you know, the inevitable is inevitable. The end is inevitable. And that's what happens when the beginning is there. Once there's a beginning to life for us humans, then there's an end. And the good news is that being in between the start and the end date, enjoying it the most that you can. And I can't really speak to what others do. I can observe others, and I think the closer that I get to them, the tighter the friendship sort of thing, the more I can, basically interpret it or judge it, however you want to call it, and say, hey, yeah, that person's really enjoying their life, or or sadly they're in pain, be it emotional or whatever. Oh my God, they're covering up, disappointment and that sort of thing. And and in this scenario, I have nothing bad to say. It did though make me sort of conscious of the fact that that I have a stool to sit on. Conscious of the fact that there's a ton of benefit to being conscious of your surroundings, meaning that it's like, okay, so I am physically here, or I have this job, or these people are in my life, or I have these health benefits, or I have these health concerns, and what am I going to do with each of those things? Am I going to honor the people that I get to have in my life and make them painfully aware that I love them and care for them and appreciate them? Am I going to take advantage of my legs and use them to walk and run, possibly, versus taking a golf cart or an Uber even? Am I going to use my brain to the best of my ability to do the best job I can in the work that I have, that I get compensated for? Majority of us, I would submit, get compensated financially. Some of us get compensated by quality of life, in the sense that some people are working in a scenario where their job, their career, is providing them with lodging, that sort of thing, or travel. People that go to conventions and conferences, that sort of thing. I do that sort of. And then there's times like this when I'm in Thailand, and after I'm here for about a week, I then think to myself, what's it going to take for me to say, this time I'm staying? The next thing that happens usually in the next week is that I just appreciate all that's around me. Like I've kind of slowed down a little bit. And because of that, I think that I'm also able to appreciate all of the things around me. The colors, the sounds, the smells, the temperature, be it hot or cold, the the water or the lack of water, the electricity, the data plan, whatever. The blankets, regardless, just all of it. There seems to be more of an acute appreciation for all that I have around me, all the blessings that I have, let's just say that. And then in the third week, I usually will start sort of searching around for opportunities. And so for me, that sort of translates into I'm going to possibly find a job of some kind, or I'm going to find a way to do my job that I have back there from over here, you know, work remotely, right? Or I'm going to make a job of, I'm going to somehow find a way to earn money from making my money make more money, right? And all of that stuff seems to go through my head. And for whatever reason, it seems like the average amount of time that I seem to spend in Southeast Asia when I'm here, like for a decent amount of time, I'm not just hopping in, doing a few errands, and then basically on my way, is about 3 weeks. And so when I'm here for those 3 weeks, then, you know, usually that's sort of the scenario. And then usually in the last like 3 or 4 days of those 3 to 4 weeks, I spend in pretty even more slow-mo. And depending upon where I am, ideally I'm at a beach. I will go to the beach and just sort of sit there and stare. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I love going to the beach and staring. I did that as early as I can possibly remember, when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, when I was a young boy growing up. And no, that's not a paid endorsement just then. It's just my favorite beverage currently. But, you know, so that seems to be the cycle. And I'm always curious, like, if other people have those cycles. When people go to Maui, do they, you know, spend the first third, you know, just sort of decompressing, the next third being like, oh my God, how do I keep doing this for the rest of my life? And then maybe the final third of saying, okay, so how do I, like, you know, make this my new home? And what's interesting is I've had basically 3 homes in my life. Where I grew up on the East Coast, San Diego, and St. Louis. And the chronology of that actually was Boston, San Diego, St. Louis, San Diego. And each of the times that I've moved to a new place, meaning I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to this place and I will wake up there every single morning for the amount of time until I don't live there any longer. There was no finite end, whereas these trips that I take here to Southeast Asia, for the most part, there's a finite end. And there's some degree of vacation for sure to when I come over here. This trip, actually, interestingly enough, is really the first trip that I've ever had business meetings planned. And as mentioned in other videos, I'm here on a grant. And part of what I'm supposed to produce from that grant, which is very exciting to me, is, you know, some data on the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurial culture, venture capital, angel funding, new technologies, entrepreneurial minds that are coming out of the higher education system, that sort of thing. So those are just sort of the few of the nuggets. And as I was talking to my mom this morning, she said, well, you know, so how's it going or whatever? And I paused, but very quickly, actually, to answer her question. I said, you know, interestingly enough, I could fly home today and I have enough data to be able to say, look, this is what I've discovered. And these are the, you know, the additional reasons why I need to come back again and again and again. Because the trajectory of the startups and the entrepreneurs and the new technologies and the new companies and the new ideas that are happening here in Southeast Asia is very, the slope of that is very, very happening quite quickly, and it's happening regularly with intensity. So in the sense that, like, this part of the world potentially has a high season and a low season, there's a continuous season of brilliant ideas, and so that's very exciting for me. So yeah, so I have a lot to be grateful for, and not the least of which is any single one of you watching this video. I'm truly grateful that you've spent the time to do it. I hope I add value, and I can tell you that it's very cathartic to do it, especially on a day like today when you know, when I say to myself, man, You know, those people that died today, they were once, you know, in their 40s. And looking back, if they were to say, okay, so here's the deal, Mike, you're going to live for another 40 years. And the last, like, 6 months is going to be undesirable. But at the end of the day, from your perspective, you'll just kind of lay around and maybe you'll be in pain, but then you'll go to sleep and then you'll be in the big Buddha temple in the sky. And I haven't really had any of those people in my life because I've always wanted to ask them, what would you do differently, right? Although I suppose maybe that's not the greatest question. I think maybe the best question is, how can I make you feel better right this instant? Versus, selfishly, I need you to give me advice. It's probably not what you should do when you're when someone's in hospice kind of thing, right? Yeah. So anyway, just a few things that I just wanted to share. So in any case, wherever you're watching this, I truly hope you're safe and happy. I hope you are able to pause, if not for the length of this video, but for even 2 seconds, and just come up with one thing that you're grateful for. And I hope if that's a person that you tell them, I hope if that's a location you go to it, and I hope if that's a feeling, then you sit with it and they're like, wow, this is pretty cool, I want to savor this. So, and with that, I hope you're living the dream. Because I got to tell you, if you were to ask me what I would do differently, I would say absolutely nothing. Because honestly, in my experience, if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong. I hope you're doing it right. Ciao.